Welcome to our presentation for CSE 564 final project. We have created a visualization dashboard for the nuclear explosions data in the world. Let's get to the dashboard. So as you can see, we have created various plots which shows various different aspects of the nuclear explosions data set. On the top left part, we have three bar charts. So there are two stacked bar charts and there's one bar chart. So prominently, these bar charts visualize the frequencies with respect to different attributes in the data. For example, countries, the purpose of explosion, and the method of deployment of that explosion. And on top of that, these bar charts provide a mechanism for filtering the data. So for example, if I click on USA, all the other charts are updated accordingly. If I click on Russia, and you can see France and stuff. Also, I can filter on, let's say, purpose like weapons experiments, and let's say atmospheric. So all the data across the charts is updated accordingly. Here now I can just click on reset filters so that it gets reset to the default filter. And we have color coded all our information with respect to different countries. So each country has a unique color and which is consistent throughout all the other charts. Now moving on to the right hand side, we have a world bubble map, which essentially visualizes each and every individual explosions in the data set. And also actually on top of that denotes four feature variables. The two variables are planar variables, which are latitude and longitude. One is color, which denotes the country, and one is size of the circle, which denotes the magnitude, body wave magnitude of the explosion. Also, we are rendering it with transparency, so that if there are multiple explosions in a certain area, we can see an opaque circle, so which gives us more insight into the data. We have implemented a hover feature on the data set, on the visualization, hover interaction. So if I hover on a particular data point on the top left corner, I can see different attributes of that explosion. Also, we have implemented zoom and pan interaction in the world map. So let me filter it with the USA. And now we can see if I can zoom on this part. So here on Japan, we can see, we all know the two major explosions in the history, which is Hiroshima and Nagasaki bombings, which were the only two explosions which were for the purpose of combat. And then I can just pan around, zoom out throughout the map. Now coming to the bottom left part, we have a stacked area chart which represents the explosion trend comparing different countries throughout the years, which is kind of a time series data. And we have zooming and brushing interaction on this. So I can brush over the x-axis, which is the years, and you can see the x-axis range is also changed, and it accordingly filters and displays data in all the other charts as well. This explosion trend helps us to get more insight on the data.
So for example, you can see, like, we see a big dip in the year 1960. So exactly in the year 1960, we see that although Russia and US were the major countries which performed nuclear explosion in the year 1960, we can see the only explosion performed was by France. And then later in the year 1962, we see a significant rise in this. This can be attributed to the Cuban Missile Crisis. And then we see a sudden dip from like 180 to 1/3, 60. So this happened because the situation got resolved. Unfortunately, the number of nuclear explosions conducted after that decreased drastically. Further, we'll use PCP to get more analysis on our data.
So now the PCP helps us to visualize relations between different attributes, between different technical attributes in our data set. So which is body wave magnitude, surface wave magnitude, depth of the explosion, and the upper yield and lower yield ranges, which is essentially the amount of energy released by that explosion and the type of explosion. So now we have implemented access reordering feature, so we can compare different attributes in the data. And we can see here in the lower yield and upper yield part, we can see a very high amount of correlation, and unexpectedly in the surface wave magnitude and body wave magnitude, it has little to no correlation. Now, if I try to brush over the higher yield values, we can see that most of the explosions which have a very high yield are of the type atmospheric. Now, if I try to filter with atmospheric data, we can see that almost all the countries stop their atmospheric tests somewhere after 1960, around 1964. This is due to the partial test ban treaty, which was signed by many countries, but we can see here China and France were in defiance of that treaty, and they continued their experiments almost up to 1979 or 80. Also, we can see from the trend here, most of the countries stopped their experiments after 2000, but we can see there was an emerging player in the nuclear test space, which was North Korea. And if I try to filter the data on North Korea, we can see that it has done many explosions throughout their span of about a decade. But the yield value of their max yield value of their explosion was not that great, as we have seen that the highest yield value was 50,000, but theirs is only 50. And moving on to the nuclear stockpile trend.
So the nuclear stockpile trend is different from the other charts that we have seen. So all my other charts, this bar chart, map, explosion trend, and parallel coordinate plot, all these charts represented my explosions that were conducted throughout the history. However, nuclear stockpile trend actually shows the number of nuclear weapons owned by the country. So in this case, you can see the explosion trend. The highest explosion in the 1962 was around 180. However, we see that only Russia had owned more than like 40,000 nuclear weapons by then. And this number had been increasing since the beginning. However, we see that post, I think somewhere before the Cold War, the number of nuclear weapons owned by these two countries decreased drastically. And this was actually the peak of Russia, I guess, before its dissolution, before the dissolution of the Soviet Union. And we see we have explicitly used square root y-axis for this. Since the data was very skewed, I mean, the other countries perform very less number, own very less number of nuclear warheads. However, these two countries had a lot of it. Because of this, we have used square root as a y-axis. So for the initial years, you can actually see the comparison between different countries. Also, the data we had was only till 2014, and we tried to predict the number of nuclear warheads that the country would be owning in the future. And this prediction is for the next 20 years till I think 2034. And we see US and Russia, the number of nuclear weapons that they own has been continuously decreasing. On the other hand, the emerging countries like India, Pakistan, North Korea, the number of nuclear weapons owned by them has been, even though slightly, but has been increasing. Yeah. And that concludes the presentation. Thank you for watching it.